Dear viewers, my name is Anatoly Gorbachev and I'm a member of the Nostrum ICO team. This is the third and last video of the Introduction to the Crypto World series, but not the last video which we will publish on this YouTube channel. In the previous video we talked about the security measures taken to make sure that the cryptocurrencies are as secure as they are. Let us continue where we left off. At the end of the 90s, a group of IT scientists made a system which is called the Proof of Work. Initially, the purpose of the system was to reduce the amount of email spam that was sent and received by people at the time. Since there is practically no data needed, any computer could send thousands of emails really quickly. This is what is known as spam. What the Proof of Work does is make a computer do a set of calculations which take a certain amount of time before finishing the operation, in this case sending the email, and hence increasing the amount of time used to carry out a single operation, or send a single email. This way, you reduce the overall amount of spam being sent. This system was too complicated to implement for the use in emails, but Satoshi Nakamoto, on the other hand, who knew about this system, decided to use it to add another layer of security to the blockchain. Satoshi decided to create a rule where each new block which is added to the blockchain has to begin with a certain number of zeros. Due to the hash being predefined by the set of rules we explained in part 2 of this series, we need a special number at the end of the data set used to make the hash which provides these rules. The number of zeros at the beginning of each hash is predefined and changes every 2016 blocks. This little rule changes everything. Hashes are created randomly, and one has to try thousands if not millions of different hashes in order to find one which fits. Also, since the amount of votes you have when deciding whether a block should or should not be accepted to the blockchain is directly related to the capacity you have to generate adequate hashes, it will mean that any individual who would want to control the blockchain would need to have a computational power which is higher than half of the miners of the world put together, which is practically impossible. The number of zeros at the beginning of each hash are chosen to make the tasks harder for the computers so that no one individual is able to strongly influence the blockchain, as well as to make it ineffective cost-wise for people to try to make false transactions. Since generating blocks has high hardware, device, and electricity costs, it makes more sense for miners to abide the system rules and make valid blocks which are accepted by the community to get their rewards, rather than try to cheat the system and risk losing their rewards. This method of work of the blockchain gives everyone an equal chance of generating a block, and it does not work on a first come, first served basis, but rather all the miners of the world collaborate to put blocks in the blockchain. The number of zeros at the beginning of the hash, also known as the difficulty of the hash, is fixed, so that statistically speaking, it takes around 10 minutes to find a single adequate hash throughout the world. Each 2016 blocks, this difficulty is revised and adjusted accordingly to make the 10-minute interval stable. If the difficulty is too high and the hashes are being produced too slow, the difficulty is reduced. If the difficulty is too low and the blocks are being produced too quickly, the difficulty is raised. The growth of this is exponential and directly related to the growth of computational power in the world. The difficulty of the first hashes was 1. As it grew to around midway of what it is now, it became around 37 million, and today it's reaching around 4 trillion. The act of finding a correct hash is called mining, and the ones who do it, the miners, can only get the reward if they find an adequate hash. Now for the final question, where do the bitcoins come out from, and how have they become so popular? A newspaper article was put in the first block since there was no others to make transactions with. As the first miners received 50 bitcoins for the creation of blocks, the amount of bitcoins grew and was eventually sold to investors who believed the currency would grow in value in the future. Soon after that, financial entities started to buy and accept bitcoins as a form of payment. The first industries to adopt the bitcoin were those which required high anonymity for the buyer and for the receiver. They were black markets, the illegal sale of drugs and weapons, and others, many others. This was and still is one of the biggest controversies which surround the Bitcoin market. As the amount of computational power and the amount of miners increased, and as the amount of bitcoins which were awarded for each new block diminishes, the incentives for miners are each time lower and lower. Due to this, miners began to work together in groups which are called pools and help each other generate valid hashes. To this day, the biggest mining pools are located in China, where the costs for hardware, working space, and electricity are extremely low when compared to the rest of the world. These mining factories are located in remote villages and require the support of a few engineers to run a larger facility, which makes it extremely cost effective. This gives Chinese miners a big advantage over the rest of the world, which makes it more expensive than it should be for the rest of the miners, perhaps even cost ineffective. Well guys, this is it for the Intro to the Crypto World series. Be sure to follow us on the social media and look forward to more interesting content on our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye bye.